The stage lights fade and the truth steps into the shadows. For years, Jaguar Wright, the powerful voice behind some of the most soul-stirring performances in the music industry, stood in the background of fame. She had the talent, the charisma, and the connections. But she also had something far more dangerous: the truth. She started talking. Not the kind of polite, PR-friendly chatter you hear in interviews. No, Jaguar spoke about what really happens when the cameras stop rolling. The late-night meetings, the backroom deals, the betrayals, the untouchable names. And somewhere in that storm of revelations, a name kept surfacing: Jay-Z. Now her former bodyguard has come forward, not to gossip, not to seek fame, but to issue a warning, one that chills the blood. According to him, Jaguar Wright's life isn't just in chaos, it's in danger. He claims powerful forces are working behind the scenes, silencing those who dare to speak out. And this isn't just about career sabotage, it's about survival. The allegations: a hit was ordered. The motive: to shut her up before she can expose too much. Is this the shocking reality of an industry built on secrets? Or the desperate paranoia of a woman who's seen too much? Stay with us, because in the next few minutes, we're pulling apart every detail, every whisper, and every piece of evidence that might prove or disprove this chilling story. The question is, will the truth set Jaguar free, or will it bury her? The question is, will the truth set Jaguar free, or will it bury her? To understand why Jaguar Wright's life is now under such a dark cloud, we have to go back. Before the whispers, before the warnings, to the very beginning. Jaguar Wright wasn't just another singer, she was a force. Her voice carried raw emotion. Her presence commanded respect. Born Jaqueline Suzette Wright in Philadelphia, she came up through the neo-soul movement of the late 90s and early 2000s. She toured with The Roots, lent her vocals to Jay-Z's Unplugged performance, and collaborated with some of the biggest names in hip-hop and R&B. In those days, she was loved, not feared, admired, not hunted. But the music industry isn't a fairy tale. Behind the glamour, she began to notice the cracks. Shady contracts, sudden disappearances of promising artists, whispers about exploitation, control, and power being used in ways the public could never imagine. Then came the first incident, a meeting behind closed doors, an offer, or maybe a warning disguised as one. According to Jaguar, it wasn't about her music anymore. It was about her silence, and she wasn't the type to stay quiet. Years later, she began speaking publicly, naming names, sharing stories of betrayal, abuse, and corruption. The more she spoke, the more enemies she made. Her former bodyguard says this was when the strange things began. Unmarked cars parked outside her home for hours, anonymous phone calls at night, strangers watching her in public places, only to disappear when confronted. At first, Jaguar brushed it off. Maybe it was paranoia, maybe a coincidence. One night changed that. She was leaving a small venue after performing a local show, nothing high profile. As she walked to her car, a black SUV rolled past slowly. Windows tinted so dark you couldn't see inside. It stopped for just a moment, then drove off without a word. Her bodyguard says he saw the license plate. He recognized the vehicle. And that's when the fear began to settle in. Because according to him, it wasn't just a random car. It belonged to someone connected. It's connected to the very people Jaguar had been calling out. It belonged to someone connected. It's not just connected in the way industry people toss around the word, but deeply embedded in the inner circles of hip-hop royalty. Jaguar's bodyguard, who we'll call Marcus for his own safety, had been in the business long enough to know when something wasn't right. He'd worked for artists, promoters, and security firms that guarded big-name concerts. He'd seen drunk fans, petty beefs, even real threats. But this was different. Marcus told us that night in the parking lot was the moment his instincts screamed at him, "Jaguar isn't just making enemies, she's poking a bear," when pressed. Marcus revealed he knew the man driving that SUV, not personally, but professionally. He'd seen him before, shadowing certain artists, handling security for high-profile executives, and once very briefly escorting Jay-Z himself during a private event in Miami. That's when the Jay-Z angle began to make sense. See, Jaguar had been vocal, painfully vocal about things most artists would never dare say. She claimed the music industry wasn't just about art, but about control, okay? She accused some of the most respected names, including Jay-Z, of manipulating careers, blackballing artists, and protecting predators. The industry shrugged it off. She's bitter, some said. She's exaggerating. But Marcus saw what came next, and it was enough to convince him her life was in danger. First, the SUV sightings increased. Not daily, that would be too obvious, but just enough to remind her she was being watched. Sometimes it would appear outside her shows, sometimes parked down the block from her apartment. No interaction, no confrontation, just presence. Then came the break-in. It happened on a night Jaguar was out of town for a performance. She returned to find her apartment door slightly ajar. Inside, nothing appeared stolen, at least. Nothing of obvious value. But her laptop was missing. Not the expensive jewelry, not the cash in the drawer, just the laptop. Marcus says that laptop contained drafts of her next public expo's names, dates, and details about incidents she had planned to reveal in a live stream. Jaguar was shaken, but she didn't stop talking. Fact, she doubled down. And that's when Marcus says the threats became direct. Anonymous texts, blocked calls. One voicemail, a male voice, low and calm, that said only, "Stop, or you won't see the next year." Marcus offered to take her somewhere safe, but Jaguar refused. "If they kill me," she told him, "at least the world will know why." Her defiance was admirable and dangerous. Then came the biggest shock. Marcus claims he was contacted by a mutual acquaintance, someone from the security side of the business, who warned him bluntly, "Your client has stepped on the wrong toes. A contract's been discussed. Big money, high up." When Marcus pressed for details, the man refused to speak over the phone. They met in person at a diner on the edge of the city. Over coffee, the source leaned in and said, "Name's already out there. It's her. They don't want her alive by the end of the year. And the one calling the shots. You've heard of him?" Marcus didn't need to hear the name. The source gave a slight smirk and tapped 2 fingers on the table, the shape of a J in the air, before leaving without another word. Was it proof? Not in a court of law, but for Marcus, it was enough. From that moment on, he says his job shifted from bodyguard to shadow. Not just protecting Jaguar at events, but scanning every crowd, checking every exit, memorizing every unfamiliar face. Jaguar, for her part, continued to speak publicly. In interviews, live streams, and impromptu Instagram rants, she accused Jay-Z of orchestrating a silent war against her. She spoke of industry assassins and handlers sent to monitor her every move. The public was divided. Some saw her as a whistleblower, others as an unstable former star chasing attention. But Marcus insists you can think she's crazy all you want. The danger's still real. It's one night that danger got too close. Jaguar had just finished a small gig in Dallas. As they stepped outside to head to the car, Marcus spotted a figure leaning against a lamppost, who'd pulled low, face shadowed. Nothing unusual at first, until the man began walking toward them, hand buried deep in his jacket pocket. Marcus stepped between them, hand on his own weapon, and barked a warning. The man stopped, then turned and walked away without a word. Jaguar never saw his face, but Marcus says he did. And he swears that man was the same driver from the black SUV months before. Whatever game was being played, it wasn't over. It was escalating. That night in Dallas changed everything. Marcus had always been vigilant, but now his senses were razor sharp. He knew the man from the black SUV wasn't just a shadow anymore. He was a player in a much larger game. And games like this didn't end with a handshake. In the days that followed, Jaguar's social media presence exploded. Clips of her rants went viral, sparking debates online. Some called her brave, others called her reckless. But beneath the noise, notice something chilling. The more attention she got, the more organized the watching became. No more random SUV sightings, no more sloppy break-ins. Whoever was after her had shifted tactics. Now it was precision. Jaguar would get emails from fans asking for her exact performance schedule. Anonymous Twitter accounts would tag her location in real time. At one hotel, Marcus found a small camera hidden in the smoke detector above her bed. That was the breaking point. Marcus confronted her. "Jag, this isn't just harassment. This is recon. They're studying you, your patterns, your habits, so when they make their move, it's clean." Jaguar just stared at him, silent for a long moment. Then she said something Marcus would never forget. "If I disappear, promise me you'll tell the world who did it." It wasn't paranoia. It was resignation. Marcus began digging through old contacts, off-the-record conversations, and favors called in from people who owed him. He started piecing together the bigger picture. What he found painted a disturbing image of an industry that operated like a shadow government, with its own hierarchy, its own enforcers, and its own way of dealing with problems. At the top were the decision makers, label heads, high-profile executives, and superstar artists whose public image was spotless. Beneath them were the handlers, middlemen who managed both careers and crises. And below that, the cleaners. The cleaners weren't janitors. They were professionals who specialized in making problems disappear, sometimes figuratively, sometimes literally. Marcus's sources claimed one particular cleaner had been active recently. A man known for moving silently, never leaving a trail, and according to whispered conversations, he'd been seen in the same cities as Jaguar's recent performances. When Marcus asked why someone as big as Jay-Z would be tied to this, the answer was always the same. Control the narrative. Protect the empire. Was it proof? No. But in a world where fear keeps mouths shut, whispers are often the only evidence. Then came the night everything nearly fell apart. Jaguar had agreed to do a live stream exposing new details about an incident involving a well-known executive. Marcus advised against it, but she refused to cancel. Midway through the stream, as she spoke directly into the camera, there was a loud crash off-screen. Marcus rushed to the window. A brick had been thrown through it, landing just inches from where she sat. Wrapped around the brick was a note. "Last warning." No signature, no logo, just those two words. Marcus moved her to a safe location. Immediately, an undisclosed apartment belonging to a friend outside the city. For a few weeks, things were quiet. Too quiet. And that, Marcus says, was the most unnerving part. It was during this time that Jaguar made a choice. If they were going to come for her, she wanted to make sure her story couldn't be buried. She began compiling everything she knew. Recordings, documents, names, dates, into what she called her insurance file. She gave Marcus a copy and told him to release it publicly if anything happened to her. Marcus says that file is real, and that it's the reason she's still alive. As long as she's breathing, they can try to discredit her. But if she's gone, that file becomes her final broadcast. Today, Jaguar Wright is still speaking out, still performing in small venues, still making enemies in high places. Marcus remains by her side, though he admits he doesn't know how this ends. She's fighting a war most people don't even know exists, he says. And the enemy, they're powerful enough to erase you like you were never here. The question we began with still lingers. Will the truth set Jaguar free, or will it bury her? For now, she walks a thin line between courage and danger, between survival and silence. And if Marcus's story is true, every day she wakes up might be another roll of the dice. Because in an industry built on illusions, the most dangerous thing you can be is real. If you've made it this far, you already know this story is bigger than one person. It's bigger than Jaguar, right? It's about an entire system, one that hides in plain sight, controls the narrative, and punishes those who dare to tell the truth. But here's the thing. The truth only survives if people are willing to listen, share, and demand answers. So I'm asking you, don't let this story vanish into the noise of the internet. If you believe people need to hear what Jaguar Wright has been saying, share this video with everyone you know. Post it, text it, send it in group chats. Let the conversation spread faster than the silence they're trying to create. And I want to hear from you. Do you think these threats are real? Do you believe the industry would go this far to protect itself? Or is there another side to the story we haven't heard yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters more than you think. Most importantly, if you want to keep uncovering the truth with us, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're not just making videos here. We're building a community of people who refuse to be kept in the dark. Because at the end of the day, sunlight is the best disinfectant. And as long as we keep shining it on the shadows, they can't hide forever. Stay aware, stay curious, and remember, the truth has enemies. But it also has us.